Imagine trying to catch a 100-pound animal in freezing waters surrounded by drifting ice with almost no room for mistakes. That's exactly what Inuit hunters do when they go after the mighty walrus. But this isn't just about hunting. It's about survival, tradition, and incredible skill passed down through generations. So how do they do it? It all starts with patience. Inuit hunters first track the walrus by watching the ice and the ocean. They know the migration routes. They know where the walrus like to rest, usually on floating ice. And they wait sometimes for hours just to get the perfect chance. Once a walrus is spotted, the hunt begins. In the past, hunters used harpoons with rope lines attached to sealskin floats. When thrown, the harpoon would hit the walrus, and the float would create drag in the water, slowing it down and tiring it out. Today, many hunters use rifles for a clean, quick shot. But even with modern tools, the challenge remains the same. The walrus is huge, powerful, and tough. One wrong move, and it could disappear under the ice, or even attack. When the walrus is finally down, the hard part isn't over. Hauling a 4,000-pound animal out of icy water is no small task. Hunters work together, using sleds, ropes, and teamwork to bring the walrus back to shore or onto the ice. And every part of the walrus is used. The meat feeds families. The blubber is used for oil and fuel. The skin can be turned into rope or clothing. The tusks are carved into tools or art. Nothing goes to waste. For the Inuit, this is more than a hunt. It's a way of life, a connection to the land, and a reminder that survival in the Arctic isn't about strength alone. It's about knowledge, respect, and community. This kind of hunting takes courage, but also deep understanding. Before they even set out, Inuit hunters prepare mentally and physically. They check the weather, study the ice conditions, and plan their route carefully. Out on the sea ice, there's no room for error. One crack in the ice, one misstep, and everything can change in seconds. And the cold, it's brutal. Temperatures can drop to 40 degrees or worse. But the hunters are prepared. They wear hand-sewn clothing made from animal skins, materials that have kept their people warm for thousands of years. They travel by snowmobile or sled, depending on the season, carrying only what's necessary and nothing more. Once the walrus is secured, the next challenge is butchering it safely and efficiently. This process can take hours. The meat is carefully divided. Large sections are cut for drying, cooking, or storing. The fat is saved for traditional oil lamps or rendering into seal oil, which can be used for food and fuel. Even the bones and tusks are valuable. Inuit artists carve the ivory into stunning works of art, telling stories of the land and their ancestors. Others use the bones for tools, knives, or traditional crafts passed down through the generations. For the community, the arrival of a walrus means more than just food. It brings people together, elders, hunters, children. Everyone plays a role in processing the animal and preserving the harvest. It's a moment of celebration, of gratitude, and of connection. This is what makes the Inuit way of life so powerful. It's built on respect for nature, for animals, and for each other. The walrus isn't just hunted, it's honored. And this deep respect, it goes beyond the hunt itself. Before and after the kill, many Inuit hunters take a quiet moment to give thanks, to acknowledge the walrus for giving its life. Because in the Arctic, survival depends on a balance between taking and giving, between people and nature. The Inuit don't see the walrus as just prey. They see it as a partner in survival. That mindset is what makes their hunting practices so different. It's not about sport. It's not about trophies. It's about feeding families, honoring tradition, and maintaining harmony with the land and sea. And even today, in a modern world, these traditions continue. Young Inuit are still being taught how to hunt the old way. Elders share stories, techniques, and wisdom that have been passed down for centuries. And while technology has made some things easier, like using boats or rifles, the heart of the hunt remains the same. It's still about patience. It's still about skill. And it's still about community. When a walrus is brought home, it's shared, not sold, not hoarded, shared with the whole village. That's the Inuit way. Everyone eats, Everyone survives, and in a place as harsh as the Arctic, that unity is everything. This way of life, this quiet strength, it often goes unseen by the rest of the world. But for the Inuit, it's everyday reality. The hunt for a 100-pound walrus isn't just a physical challenge. It's a symbol of endurance, of culture, of identity, and it's a powerful reminder that in the harshest places on Earth, humans don't just survive. They adapt, they thrive, and they pass on the wisdom that makes it possible. Even as climate change threatens traditional hunting routes, even as modern pressures grow, the Inuit continue to hold on to what matters most: their knowledge, their connection to the land, and their respect for every life taken to sustain their own. It's not just about food, it's about balance. It's not just a hunt, it's heritage. And the walrus, it remains a sacred part of that story, massive, powerful, and deeply respected. Inuit hunters often travel long distances across the frozen sea, navigating by memory and subtle signs in the environment. Snowdrifts, wind direction, cracks in the ice. These skills are learned not from books, but from years of being out on the land with elders, watching and listening. Sometimes a walrus hunt can last days. The hunters must be patient, resilient, and completely in tune with the environment. They may set up temporary camps on the ice, staying warm inside tents lined with furs, eating dried fish or seal meat, and keeping watch for the perfect opportunity to strike once the walrus is secured and brought back to the community. The butchering process becomes a cultural event. Everyone participates, from elders who teach the proper way to cut and store the meat, to children learning by watching and helping. It's not just about food. It's about passing on identity, and it doesn't stop with the meat. The thick hide is sometimes used to make ropes, boat coverings, or traditional items. The tusks are carved into tools, jewelry, and storytelling art. Even the stomach can be used to make waterproof containers. Every part of the walrus serves a purpose. This level of respect and resourcefulness is something the modern world could learn from. In a time where so much is wasted and convenience often replaces tradition, the Inuit show us the power of living in harmony with nature, not just using it, but understanding it. And through this sacred hunt, they continue to live with dignity, strength, and deep connection to the land that has shaped them for thousands of years. Climate change is reshaping the Arctic faster than almost anywhere else on the planet. The sea ice, once thick and dependable, is becoming thinner, more unpredictable, and disappearing earlier each year. That means the traditional hunting grounds are shifting. Walrus migrations are changing, and hunters must go farther, risk more, and adapt faster just to continue the practices their ancestors relied on. For the Inuit, this isn't just about losing ice, it's about losing access to food, to culture, and to identity. But still they endure. New generations of Inuit youth are stepping up, learning both the traditional skills of their elders and the modern science that can help protect their environment. Some are becoming researchers, working hand in hand with elders to document animal patterns, ice conditions, and the impact of global warming on their way of life. They're using drones, GPS, and satellite tracking, but always rooted in the deep knowledge passed down orally for centuries. Because the Inuit have always adapted. They've adapted to the coldest temperatures, the harshest landscapes, and now they're adapting to a warming world. But even with all these changes, one thing remains constanting: their resilience. Catching a 100-pound walrus is not just an act of strength, it's a statement, a message to the world that their culture is alive, powerful, and still deeply connected to the rhythms of the earth. And as long as there are Inuit hunters walking the ice, scanning the horizon, and sharing walrus meat with their community, that legacy will never be lost. Inuit culture is not static, it's alive, breathing, and evolving with every generation. While the world changes around them, the heart of who they are remains rooted in the land, the ice, and the animals they depend on. The walrus hunt is more than just a seasonal event. It's a living classroom, where values are taught without words: patience, observation, gratitude, teamwork. These are not just lessons for survival, they're lessons for life. Young boys and girls watch the elders with quiet focus. They learn how to read the sky, how to walk safely on ice, how to tell when an animal is close, without ever seeing it. They learn when to wait and when to act. These skills are not rushed, they are earned. And when the day comes that a young hunter finally harpoons their first walrus or brings home their first successful catch, it's not just a personal victory, it's a community celebration. It means the knowledge has been passed on, the chain remains unbroken. There is a quiet pride in that, a kind of strength that doesn't need to shout. Inuit communities don't romanticize the Arctic. They know how hard it can be, how dangerous, how unforgiving, but they also know its beauty, its generosity, its deep, silent wisdom. To survive here isn't a matter of luck. It's a relationship, one built over thousands of years, between people and place, between hunter and animal, between past and future. The story of how Inuit hunters catch a 100-pound walrus isn't just about the size of the animal or the harshness of the environment. It's about something bigger. It's about how a culture survives, not in spite of the cold, but because of it.